I always said I'll be truly happy when I've got a bag of seeds in one hand and a permit in the other. So today is that day. We have the permit from the Department of Health. Here's a whole big bag of hemp seeds. So it's a very happy moment and a truly momentous occasion. This field was planted at the end of October, so it's about 10 weeks old now. And as you can see, already towering over me in certain places. This variety here is Futura. It's a French variety and obviously is adapted to the Mediterranean climate of the Western Cape well. We've got 5 different varieties that we are trialling in this field, and we're also trialling for fiber and for stalks, so we've planted at different densities. So there's a lot of experimentation going on. This is year 1 of a 3-year commercial trial research project that's happening. If we had to choose, I think this variety here that I'm standing in is the one that is definitely showing the most potential. It is very tall, very long, it's got good seed production as well, and it's definitely the most healthy and the fastest growing. This variety is monoecious, which means it is actually a hermaphrodite. It has male and female characteristics on the same plant, so it actually is self-pollinated. Some of the other varieties have struggled a little bit. They've come up, they've gone into flower too soon, and they haven't grown and haven't stretched as much as they should, but they also have good potential. Even if we had to harvest now in 10 weeks of growth, there's plenty of biomass in this field that we can do something with. It's an incredibly fast-growing plant, and it's just amazing for us to really see this speed of growth and to be able to show people what we've been talking about for so long. This crop will be ready for harvest in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. Four months since planting, it's the harvest of the fiber. This is part of a commercial incubation research trial under House of Hemp, the national coordinators, and it is permitted by the National Department of Health. Basically 3 weeks since we harvested the fiber varieties. They've been lying in the field behind us, retting, which is a process of decomposition of the lignans and pectins that hold the fiber to the stalk. So you can see now the fibers separate very easily from the stalk material. It makes it a lot easier to process into the different textiles or insulation that we're going to make out of it. And now today behind me you can see the combine harvester, which is processing the seeds or harvesting the seeds. It's our first time using a mechanical way of harvesting hemp, so it's a big learning process. We're very lucky to be farming hemp on this basis, and we feel privileged to be part of this groundbreaking initiative of getting industrial hemp growing in South Africa. This is the end of our season number 1, and now we start working towards creating the industry in South Africa, the entire value chain from seed to shirt. One of the stipulations around these trials for the Department of Health was to get 3 years of THC results to prove that industrial hemp is not going to have a THC value that can be used as a drug. And the 5 varieties were all tested this year, and they all came in well underneath the values that are necessary to still register it as industrial hemp. The produce from the trials for this year was sent off to the CSIR for processing, and they're busy getting the fiber off the stalk, doing the decortication process. As we said, we grew 5 different varieties, so it's not uniform. We're still learning, they're still learning. The aim wasn't for this trial to produce a lot of hemp. It was more identifying the right varieties and getting the farmers to understand a little bit more about growing for commercial purposes, not just for agronomy or agronomical research. Right now, the second year is a little bit more about getting maximum yield, getting the harvesting correct and producing as much hemp as we can of 2 hectares. Obviously for us, one of the challenges is creating a commercial viability study on 2 hectares. It's very difficult. Industrial hemp is an economies of scale crop. We need to be growing a lot more to actually show the economic viability, but it's a good start and we're very grateful to have this start. We need to now create the demand, justify why we need to grow more to the government, look for partners and look for people who can be using industrial hemp within a South African context, get that demand growing, and then we can justify why we want to grow 10,000 hectares.
We're very thankful to be the first commercial farmer to be part of the National Hemp Foundation's trial. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but hopefully once we complete this 3-year trial, things can really move forward after that. I think it should still be driven initially by the commercial farmers. As with any new crop, it is very capital intensive, and people will spend what is called in farming circles school geld, is when you pay money for developing something new.
We know our government has been in contact with the Australian and Canadian authorities around the permitting, and it's very simple. It is being done internationally. There are protocols that we can follow that we'd like to see. Obviously the challenges in South Africa is you're on a community farming level, on an emerging farming basis. A lot of these small scale farmers don't have GPS coordinates or email or internet, that kind of thing. So we would really like to see the framework being able to encompass them, and we'd probably like to see the traditional tribal councils being more involved in taking responsibility for farmers in their area, rather than having to create a new regulatory body that has to manage all of those small-scale farmers. But this is something that we will develop into, and as Duncan said, move on the commercial level first, get it right, get the implements right, get the processing right, and then we can do the technology transfer from there. We have to develop the whole value chain and create an industry that currently doesn't exist. Very exciting, but very challenging, and we're also looking at bringing in partners to do this on a cooperative level, where we know as Hemporium, or as even the few companies that currently exist in hemp in South Africa, we can't possibly all do all the farming, all the processing, all the manufacturing and all the marketing. So there will be so much more space for more people to come on board. On a cooperative basis, we'd really like to see it move into a new business paradigm of cooperation and not strictly competition, and really see hemp change the way we create jobs, build houses and feed people in this country. We're quite isolated, so we're really looking internationally to identify international partners as well. We're a few years behind some of the other countries like Canada, Australia and countries in the EU. So we're really looking to get technology transfer, to work with people so we don't have to go through the same challenges and make the same mistakes, and we can get to a point where we get sustainable as an industry very quickly. We don't want the situation where we take years and years now of more research. We know that it can be done, we've seen it succeeding, and now it's just the challenge is to implement it in South Africa and make this next period of commercial incubation go really quickly.